When I was growing up in British Columbia, I often heard the term sunshine tax from, the older generation, whether it be my parents or grandparents, and whether they're discussing friends moving to British Columbia, why they should, why they shouldn't. We have a lot of family in Ontario, and they would always come visit, and they would discuss, them moving here, but there's the quote unquote sunshine tax. And being the naive kid I was, I thought there actually was a tax for the sunshine that we often had here in the summer, especially here in the Okanagan. Then it was explained to me that no, British Columbia is just a very expensive place to live, especially compared to other parts of Canada. And those discussions and talks still go on today, whether it's the sunshine tax, like the article I'm going to be discussing right here, or the term BC, bring cash. Okay, so this is the news article I'm going to dissect here a little bit. So this is from castanet.net, our local news homepage. If you're moving here, it's a great resource. Low wages putting downward pressure on Kelowna's housing market, says economists. So Kelowna's sunshine tax, as it's put, may be weighing on the city's housing market, according to UBC Okanagan professor. So he thinks there's more at play amid a slump in the interior real estate market despite recent interest rate cuts. So this is actually the first cut they made this year. They did make another cut the other day. So this is regarding the first cut. And what happened during the first cut was actually more houses hit the market and buyers didn't come back, which is kind of expected. A quarter point isn't going to flood the market, especially at how high the interest rates have gone up. So then he's quoted by saying, my read on the situation in terms of sales numbers, this is not about macroeconomic policy and the way people are not responding to it as much as it's the local market conditions. So Kelowna as a, hub really of the Okanagan is a very expensive place to live. It's from my experience, whether it's Kelowna or West Kelowna, it's people's first choice when they move to the Okanagan, unless they are looking for the even smaller city lifestyle. But Kelowna and West Kelowna are certainly number one, and that's what he's kind of talking about with local market conditions as opposed to, Canada-wide. Then he mentions the wages here. People don't get paid very well in the Okanagan. Kelowna is a very unaffordable city where people accept lower wages essentially in exchange for access to amenities. So for the most part, that is true. We are very tourist-centered city, Kelowna and the Okanagan in general. The cities like Penticton and Kelowna, they triple in the summer typically. This year has been very, very slow. From when I was a kid, I remember going, say, downtown Penticton or along the lakeshore, and you could never find a parking spot. And I was just there the other day, and I could easily find a parking spot at the beach. So there's something happening this year, whether it's people are staying close to home, they're doing the staycations, affordability, getting rid of the short-term rentals. That could have had an impact and probably has had an impact due to the cost of everything else cost of staying here going up, and the overall cost of living across the board. And this section here discusses the, how prices have come down, or not, well, prices haven't really come down. They come down a little bit, but sales have definitely dropped since this time last year. And listings have absolutely skyrocketed. I will be coming out with a market update. I'll link it up there at the top right. Once it comes out, if you do happen to be watching this after August 1st. And they do have a quote from the Association of Interior Realtors from the president there, that the market itself has been quite favorable to sellers for quite some time. We're not seeing a big crash or anything where sellers are selling below what they bought it for. They're still making their money back for the most part. Key part here is for the most part. I've actually come across 2 properties this week where sellers are selling for far below, or they're trying to sell for at what they bought it for in 2022. So there are those examples out there, and I've actually come across 2 this week. And her last little quote here says, it's too soon to call it a buyer's market, but it is certainly trending in that direction. That is absolutely true. As the weeks go on, it feels like there's more listings hitting the market, and we'll find out the true numbers once the August or July numbers come out in August. But as it sits right now, there are about, in Kelowna alone, not just talking about the central Okanagan, in Kelowna alone, there's over, I think just over 1,000 single family homes for sale. And then in the central Okanagan, that's Peachland to Lake Country, there's around 800 condos and I think closer to 500 townhomes. Now going back to what the Economist was saying, Hickey says nearby municipalities like West Kelowna and Lake Country are growing rapidly, and he feels Kelowna had a big opportunity 10 years ago and blew it. I don't really know what he means by that, because Kelowna has grown substantially, but with that, with the people that are moving here, Kelowna is one of the largest or fastest growing cities in Canada. And with that comes price appreciation, and with that becomes unaffordability, and people start moving, further north or south of Kelowna. Kelowna is the hub, and affordability is unaffordability is at the highest. And as things obviously get more expensive, people are pushed out, just like what happened in Vancouver. Vancouver, people want to live there, or they actually have to work there, but they can't afford to live in the city itself. They have to either live, whether it's Coquitlam, Burnaby, Surrey, and then commute downtown. That's happening in Kelowna as well. Then he goes on to say, look at Lake Country, Armstrong, West Kelowna, West Bank First Nations, Vernon. All these places have grown dramatically. All that growth could have taken place in Kelowna. I think it already did take place in Kelowna, and that just like as I said, all that growth took place, prices went up, people, sort of flooded here. And now all these other places are growing because of, again, the unaffordability in Kelowna. And, these places are, can be up to, Vernon especially. Vernon's a lot cheaper than Kelowna in terms of, housing. And it's not that far of a drive. There's no bridge to deal with either. Then he goes on to say, with Kelowna's sky-high cost of living, workers have to commute from farther away to afford to work in the growing industries in Kelowna. So like the airport, hospital is a big growth or a big employer. People can't afford to live and work in Kelowna, so they're living even further north. So again, this is kind of what I just discussed with, what happened in Vancouver, which is you work in Vancouver, but you can't afford to live there and you have to commute. That is the unfortunate part of Kelowna. It seems to be turning into a small Vancouver. Now, due to that, he points the finger at poor growth management and decision making, saying Kelowna didn't let that growth happen in the city proper. Rather, it was restrained by zoning and not in my backyard attitude. That certainly does feel that way with zoning. Now the province has stepped in for province-wide with zoning, but that, he's saying that should have happened 10 years ago. And he's flabbergasted by the city of Kelowna Council. There was a development in Glenmore, that a multi-unit apartment building that they voted down. I don't know why they voted it down, but that was definitely the area. If you know Kelowna, it's at basically the corner of Bernard, just down from Bernard and Glenmore Road. Absolutely could have used it. It's like right by downtown. It would have been perfect, but I'm sure it'll go through in the future, but that'll just take some time. And despite those comments, he says he's still optimistic that the region will continue to grow, but he's less optimistic about Kelowna. I think Kelowna will still continue to grow. It's still, again, it's the fastest growing city in Canada. People want to move here. People want to live here. They're moving from the people that I've been talking to as of recent. It's more so downsizers that are moving out this way. They want to retire here. So the median, age may increase here over time, like it actually has in Penticton. Penticton's more of a retirement city now. They're actually two of the elementary schools that I grew up around. They're actually closing. So their median age is actually 52. And in Kelowna right now, it's 44. I could see that going up. And the last statement here just says there's a lot of talent here, a lot of people that are working, and it's only a matter of time, in my view, before industries start to pop up a little bit more here in the Okanagan, and we may get some competition to raise salaries and wages. It's a sad thing from his perspective that Kelowna is not the central growth in the valley. It could be, but it's kind of lost its centrality. That is somewhat true because of the sunshine tax. people are moving further north and south because Kelowna has increased in price so much. Now, what are your thoughts on the article? Do you agree with what he's saying fully, or do you have some of your own opinions on it? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you are looking for a realtor here in Kelowna, if you're thinking about moving here or buying or selling, there is a link down below in the description where you can book a one-on-one call with me there. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on my future videos. Thanks so much and have a great day.